All right, we're about 24 hours away from the trade deadline, and the Mets make another move to bolster their bullpen. They pick up Tyler Rogers from the Giants, and they pay a lot to get him. Listen, there's a lot of people already complaining, saying they gave up way too much, and Stearns got fleeced, and this shouldn't have been a deal to be made for a guy who's a rental. But at the end of the day, this is the trade deadline. This time of year, you're overpaying for pieces that you need. Every contender is currently searching for any relief help they can get. It's everyone's biggest need. So you're going to have to pay more than you want to make deals. It has to hurt you a little bit. You have to give something up. They don't just give guys away. And Tyler Rogers is the type of guy who is a top-of-the-line relief pitcher. You know, the right-handed submariner. We just saw him a few days ago in San Francisco. He's a guy who has a 1.80 ERA this year with a whip under 1, a .86 whip in 50 innings pitched this year. Career, since 2019, he has a 2.79 ERA and a whip of 1.10 in almost 400 innings pitched. So this is a top-level relief pitcher, and you're going to have to give up some pieces to get him, and the Mets did. You know, Butto is whatever. We all know what Butto is at this point. He's not very good, and basically you replace Butto in that bullpen with Rogers. Butto, thank you. You gave us some decent moments last year, but at the end of the day, you weren't usable in the playoffs. No reason to keep him around. I'm fine with him being in this deal. He was out of minor league options. He was going to be a DFA candidate at some point. He wasn't going to stick around through the playoffs. He didn't have any future on this roster. Then you look at Blade Tidwell. He's the number 10 prospect in the Mets system. We've seen him a couple times this year. He's kind of a quadruple A player at this point, probably a future reliever. That's where his future is. He's not a starting pitcher. We saw him get knocked around in the majors. I think he might end up turning into a pretty decent reliever, but the Mets have top-end pitching prospects. They don't need Tidwell. He's really their fourth best pitching prospect at this point, so you're not giving up that much in terms of Tidwell. He's not that great of a player. He's not going to turn out to be that great of a player. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, but to me, I don't see that much promise with Tidwell. He has great stuff, but he's a reliever. Maybe he's a future guy that like Tyler Rogers, right? But Tyler Rogers is a known quantity here. Now, you look at Drew Gilbert, their number 12 prospect, the other prospect that went in this deal. Yes, he's been okay this year. Once he got to AAA, he struggled a little bit. He's been a little bit better lately. But the Mets, I don't think, view him as a starting center fielder going forward. He's more like a fourth outfielder, maybe a low-end starter. Carson Benj has overtaken him as a center fielder. He's clearly the guy the Mets think is their center fielder of the future. So Gilbert really didn't have much of a role. He's 24, almost 25 years old now. He's an older prospect and a guy that really they don't have a spot for. So there's no use of keeping him around if you can go out and upgrade at a position that you need to desperately. So Drew Gilbert, Blade Tidwell are two guys that I'm perfectly fine going in this deal. Now, it's giving up a lot for a rental. There's no question about it. But like I said, you have to do that at this time of year. It's just what you have to pay for these guys. And now you're seeing reports that the Mets are still interested in other relievers and they're still talking to other teams. But at this point, they've probably moved on more to higher-end center fielder, maybe even starting pitcher because the relief prices were so high. And I think that's what happened. I think the Mets probably were in on guys like Duran or Jax, or maybe even a Bednar, but the prices are so high that they go for a guy like Rogers who, yes, you're paying a lot, but I can't imagine what Duran's going to go for now. Is he going to go for, would they ask for Jet Williams or even Brandon Sproat or Jonah Tong or Nolan McLean? Maybe they were asking for guys like that, and I think to the Mets' credit, they're not willing to trade those guys. Now, if Mason Miller is available and the Mets can go out and get him to set up for Diaz this year and then next year become your closer after Diaz opts out, maybe that's a guy you give up really top prospects for, but I don't think he gets moved, and if he does, it's going to be for a lot, and I don't know that the Mets necessarily make a move like that. I expect now, if they make another relief trade, it's going to be a lower end guy, a middle of the game kind of guy, not a back end of the bullpen kind of guy, not a seventh or an eighth inning guy necessarily, but maybe a guy who pitches the fifth and sixth. And listen, if you're a Met fan, we need guys who can pitch the fourth because Clay Holmes can't get out of the fourth inning. So we need a lot of bullpen pieces, and I still think they're going to add there, but it's going to be lower end guys. I think now that you have Soto from the left side and Rogers from the right side, that's kind of your late inning left-right setup guys for Diaz, unless they make a big swing for a Mason Miller or Duran or something like that. I just don't see that happening. I think it's much more likely that you go out and get like a Luis Robert Jr. or even a starting pitcher like Sandy Alcantara or Dylan Cease. Maybe they go that route to improve going forward. And I really think at this point, starting pitching is needed. I mean, if you're watching the game today, I kind of have it off right now, but Clay Holmes just completely imploded in this game, couldn't get out of the fourth inning, and the Mets don't have pitchers that can even go five. So they need another starting pitcher. I think the Clay Holmes experience needs to be done. He needs to go back to the bullpen at this point. I'm so sick of watching him try to start games when he can't even go 4 or 5 innings. Anyway, hopefully they can pick up a starting pitcher. But at the end of the day, guys, I know a lot of people are upset about this trade today. They think that the Mets gave up too much, and they probably did. But you have to this time of year, and to get something, you have to give something up. And neither of these guys were going to be stars for us. Honestly, let's be honest, neither of these guys were. You know their names because you've heard about them for a while now, but they weren't going to be big time. They weren't going to be big time players. They just weren't. And maybe they'll turn out to be something in the future with San Francisco or someone else, but I doubt it. I don't think these are great prospects. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You have to give something up to get something. And this makes the Mets a better team, gives them a better bullpen, makes them more of a contender. I'd still like to know what you guys hear. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think about this trade. Other than that, give me a like, subscribe if you're not, and until next time, let's go Mets.